All right. Happy Monday. Good morning, PT on Ice crowd. My name is Mike Eisenhart. As you can hear in my voice, I am coming off a cold. This past week I had a little bit of a cold, which turned into, unfortunately, a couple of hours of training that I had to give, which completely strained my voice, which was followed up by a day where I was doing some coaching on the sideline, which meant a little bit too much yelling, which meant a voice that sounded 1,000 times worse than this. And so maybe you can see a little bit with the play on words there in the title, Finding Our Voice. Good morning, Kelsey. Good to see you. Hey, Allie. Good to see you jumping on. It is May 20th. It is Monday, May 20th. So we can jump right into it. Good morning to all of those who are able to join us or listen to this. It is a beautiful Monday here in New Jersey, which was following some terrible thunderstorms last night. We had sort of all sorts of things happening last night, but it is going to be a gorgeous day today. So we'll start the day right, and it is nice to be here, nice to be alive. So 15 minutes, let's get into it. So this morning we're talking about finding our voice. Now, obviously, to a certain extent, some of this is literal. Like I'm literally getting back to finding my voice. I felt terrible for the poor folks who were on the first intro live session last night in the intro course. I was trying to talk and cough my way through it, and I understood what these DJs, and they have like the little cough button or the sneeze button. Hopefully, I haven't listened to the recording, but hopefully I wasn't like hacking up a lung. About every 30 seconds, I had to hit that mute button and cough, and just a disaster. So there's some of that, right? Some of this literal finding our voice, but some of it is also figurative, and I guess maybe a little metaphor for where I think we're getting to as a profession and as a team. It's absolutely awesome for me. I've been watching kind of from the side and doing the lurking thing as the APHPT group has been doing this 5x5 challenge, and they've been really pulling in their members and getting them to sort of do what's very, very difficult. We know there's a lot of this stuff that just seems right and that we probably should be doing more of, talking outwardly and putting ourselves out there a little bit, but it's really, really hard. If you really stop and think about it, it's very, very difficult to put yourself into a space where you may not feel 100% confident, and you may not be that much further along than experimenting with yourself, right? So when we experiment, we're trying on new behaviors, we're trying on new things, we're really trying on a new identity. And in many ways, that's what the folks who are taking our courses on the APHPT division, and then also, becoming active members in the group, it's what they're doing. They're really looking at it from a therapist perspective and saying, well, I sort of have a traditional battery of things that I do, and I'm coming to this realization that I have so much more I can offer, that I don't just have to stop with like fixing the ankle or the achy back. Like I can go that much further and help somebody really, in a sense, fix their life, get the most out of themselves, be and live the best version of themselves. That is an unbelievably awesome and powerful thing that when you come to the realization, it stops you. It kind of pauses you. And there's some fear on board. Like, oh my gosh, the gravity of that is heavy and scary. And then we come to this conclusion that we've got to get good at it, right? We've got to get our skills down so that we know how to actually pull it off well. How to take a person and help them, move along and go step by step through this process of change where they eventually get to the other side. Now, we look at it as it's kind of up and over. It's not just kind of this moment of achievement. And even though, at Proactivity, we talk about the idea of achieving, and that we're in the achievement business, that's why we live. We bring that to our clients. But the truth is that there's this amazing thing happens after you have that moment. After you have that achievement, you're so pumped up, you want to bring it to the next person. You want someone else to see it, to taste it, to touch it, to feel it, to try it on. And that's really what finding our voice is all about. It's about this idea of we're on a journey. And when we take ourselves far enough into that space and into really what can be a scary, dark, and different place for us because it's not what we're used to. But we come out on the other side, we're changed. And now we want to kind of take it to the next person. And I'm absolutely stoked to see that happening in the 5x5 challenge. I think that's such a huge part of what we need to do, what we need to become. Now, the truth is that there is certainly some courage there, And that courage gets easier when you have a group, when you have people. That allows us to do things like when we're in a social setting, when we have other people around us, it allows us, it gives us permission to go a little bit further, to push a little bit harder. And that's huge. And so I love this idea of a supportive environment that allows us to make the hard choice somewhat easier. Doesn't make it easy. It's not easy. To be very, very clear, it is not easy to live a healthy life in the United States. Pretty much everything, the odds are stacked against us. The cheapest, easiest food out there is the garbage. It's so much easier to sit on your ass and do nothing every day than it is to actually do something physical. It's absolutely simple to stay up all night long and not get any sleep at night. The easy way is the unhealthy way. So it's an uphill climb. Now, the truth is that regardless of kind of where you stand and where your brain goes, most people kind of have this shared belief, this shared sort of moral code that says that journey, that effort is worth something in the end. Maybe it provides you wisdom. By the time you're old, you'll have the wisdom that we're all sort of seeking. Maybe it provides you a pathway into, the afterlife, if that's what your belief system is. Maybe it provides you just simply a happier, healthier family that you leave behind, a legacy. All of those things are important and they're all wonderful, but it all kind of is predicated on this idea of I'm going to go through some difficulty. I'm going to go through some hardship to get to the other side. To me, that starts with finding our voice, right? It starts with the courage, the willingness to say, look, I'm not 100% sure about what I'm going to say right now, but I'm going to say it anyway because I believe that strongly, that it's that important. So last night on the intro, session, it was actually a really, really good session. It's a smaller group this time. Instead of this big, massive 25, it's a much smaller group, but it's a very vocal group. They came right out with good questions. I had people texting me before and, hey, what about nutrition? Where does it fit in? For those people who are in virtual ice, I'm going to give a lecture on that. For those people who are going to Rising Tide, we're going to spend some time on that this year. And that's my plug for that. If you can get to the White Mountains with us, it is going to be an amazing time. Hopefully we're going to get some really wonderful weather and do some hiking. But we don't know. We could be doing some snowshoeing. You don't know what's going to happen in New England. But the bottom line is we're going to dive into some of these topics that put us into this space that's a little uncomfortable. And the reason why is because as professionals, we need to get to the point where we say, look, I know all the reasons why it's hard to do this stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because at the end of the day, if I truly am a servant leader, if I am in the community trying to help people change, if I am truly trying to take people to the better version of themselves that I've kind of, put my hand on it and gave an oath, like not only do no harm, but do what's right, that I am morally obligated, that as a healer, as a healthcare professional, I am obligated to give people the best that I can give, not the minimum, not the stuff that insurance companies will pay for, the best that I can give. I am obligated to do that. It is a requirement. And if I'm going to look myself in the mirror every day and I'm truly going to say I'm a professional, okay, then I have to give them the best. And that means that whether I like it or not, as long as I am in the professions, as long as I'm willing to say that I am, I've signed up to be a professional, that I am going to seek out the best information, find that best information, share it with the people who need it, and help them to make a move toward the better. So with all of that as the backdrop, if that's truly what it means to be a professional, and you're not afraid of that responsibility, then you are obligated to take it and go that next step further. That comes with finding your voice. Now, the truth is that almost everything that we do as therapists, I know we really want to lean on our skills. We want to say it's what comes out of our hand. We want to say it's what comes out of our brain. In many ways, if you really look at it and, look at any of the literature right now, and you'll see how important it is. It's really what comes out of our face, our facial expressions. It's what comes out of our biases. It's what comes out of our communication, our verbs, our nouns. It comes out of the stories that we tell. That's about finding our voice. If we're willing to do that, if we're willing to say, hey, listen, what exactly am I about? What exactly are the principles that I can stand on? Now, we'll tell you that we think that there are those same five that we keep talking about. We think it's the elements, right? We think it's about move, fuel, recover, endure, connect. We can't find anything that is as foundational, as fundamental as those. And so if that's the case, we can all pick it apart and we can all talk about why it's not perfect and why there might be a better term or we can definitely do that. In the meantime, people are dying. by the millions. Like, let's be clear. Let's remember, we're talking about Americans, 1 million a year, and that's just from the top 2 diagnoses, right? 600 plus thousand from heart disease. We think most of those cases are preventable. Most, not some, not a few, not many, most are preventable. That's 600 plus thousand, and we have certain tools that we can bring to them to lower those odds and lower that risk. Okay? We know that when people move better, okay, that tells us about their future health. I posted something on Twitter last week, which I thought was just awesome. It was an awesome study. Now, who knows? It's not a huge study. It's not conclusive, but it gives us the narrative that we need. They compared people with symptomatic NEOA and functional decline. And they said, which of those 2 things preceded CVD, cardiovascular disease, right? Which one was the thing that predicted the future cardiovascular risk? Guess what? Like, spoiler summary, it wasn't the radiographic evidence and it wasn't the symptomatic NEOA. It was the decline in function, which at its root is move. Right? It's at its root, it's movement. People don't move as well. They change their movement. It's a window into their future health. Now, we've said that, how many times have you heard me say that? Like probably thousands at this point. You're nauseous hearing me say it again. But the truth of the matter is we can stand on that. That's a principle. And we can live on that. We can say, listen, I can see your movement is declining. And when your movement is declining, it's telling me about your future health. You deserve better. You've worked hard in life. You've gotten this far. If you've done that, if you're a good person and you deserve better, then I want to help you get there. That means I have to restore and maintain your movement. And we can do the same thing for fuel, and we can do the same thing for sleep and recovery, and we can do the same thing for stress, distress, and loads like allostatic loads and chronic allostasis, also known as endure. We can do the same thing for social support and connectedness. Now, I would love to hear, there probably are others. We're just not smart enough to figure them out. Okay, but whoever they are, bring them. There may be another foundational element to future health, right? We could certainly say there is something, but for now, in the world of conservative care, I think those 5 are key. And it comes down to our courage to just find our voice and express that to the people that we're with in our own way. You don't have to take my words. You don't have to take Allie's words. You can take anybody's words, whatever works for you, but begin to have the conversations. Because when we begin to have the conversations with authority and we get some reassurance from the people around us, it's contagious. It's socially contagious. So just like these diseases, I've stopped calling them non-communicable disease, because to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's a crappy term, because they are communicable. They're just not infectious. Right? They don't start with a bacterial cold like I have, right? They start with social contagion. They're socially contagious diseases because our norms and our beliefs and our actions are contagious. And when we stay quiet and don't talk about it, then we allow all of those other negatives to continue to take hold, right? So that really is at the fundamental root of, I guess, kind of what my point is for today. In 3 minutes or less, I mean, that's the final kind of thought. Is that we've got to be willing, we've got to have the courage to find our voice. And I got to tell you, I mean, hopefully you can see it in kind of where I'm at today. Although I don't feel great, my voice is on the mend, but certainly not better. But I got to tell you, I was charged up last night. What a great group. I have to thank them. I thank them because they were willing to ask some questions. I have to thank the people doing the 5x5 challenge for APHPT. Why? Because they were willing to put themselves out there, right? They're willing to have some of this conversation, and it's amazing to watch. Now, granted, it's only a handful, but it's a handful who had the courage. Those, I call them innovators or leaders. The next round of people is on their way, I guarantee it. The people who are standing on the sideline today watching them and realizing how courageous but how amazing that's going to be is going to be the next group to jump in. And when we start getting that ripple effect in our communities, in our towns, in our workplaces, in our families, in our schools, that is when change can happen. So if you're in it, right, if you're in the idea, if you're in the concept, that we have more to what we can offer as professionals, that we are willing, that we have more skills, we have more knowledge, we can go further, we can do better. If you're there, right, mentally, if you have that mindset, that is what we're all about here, and that's the community we're trying to build. To me, that is Physical Therapist 2.0, right? 2.0 or 2.1 or 5, whatever. Bottom line is the future is when we embrace what we really can do. What's the possibility? Not what the rules say we should do, and not what the barriers that certain things put on us, but to simply say, no, we know where we can go, and the goal is to find our way there. All right, I'm going to leave it there. 1 minute, 15 seconds. Thanks for being with me this morning. I know, I'm probably a little more fired up than usual. Hopefully that doesn't, put you off or intimidate you. It's a thank you. I mean, be very clear. It's a thank you. Because every Monday for however long now, years, I've been saying make it count. And occasionally you get this little glimmer. You get this little bit of hope looking around and seeing our community of people who are making it count. So it's a thank you. Thank you for making it count. For the rest of us, it's only Monday. You can start today. It's in your voice. Let it come out. Make it count.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.